How do you keep up with information about the people in your life? That's what we're talking about today. Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. Think about the people with whom you work. Do you know the names of each person's spouse or significant other? What about the names of their children? Extra credit if you know in what year each child was born. When you have a significant conversation with a friend, do you keep any notes about that conversation? And if so, how do you manage that? When a conversation doesn't really pertain to a specific subject, but it's just a conversation with that person, how do you keep up with what you talked about so that you can reference it later? Well, if you had an easy way to trap all of that information and summon it at just the right time, how valuable would that be to you? And if the answer is very valuable, then you're in the right place. For the information in this episode to work, you're going to need some type of note taking app. And you have lots of great options. For me, it's Evernote. For others, it might be Notion, OneNote, Apple Notes, or Google Keep. You could use Google Docs or OneDrive. Within your tool of choice, create a notebook or folder called something like People. Inside, you'll be creating a note for each person of significance in your life. The title of that note will simply be the person's name. Now, I'm not saying that you need to sit down right now and start creating blank notes for everybody that you know, but what I am saying is that you start creating them as you need them. I'll give you an example. You have lunch with a buddy from college. You haven't seen each other in a few years. You talk about your respective families. He mentions his wife by name as well as their three children. He talks about a couple of new hobbies. You might even take a few notes. Now, you couldn't pull out your laptop, but you might jot down a few things on a memo pad or even a napkin. And if you were asked about the conversation right after that lunch concluded, you would likely remember much of it, even if you took no notes at all. But here's my question. How much would you remember about that conversation a week later, a month later, or a year later? With a good system, the information is yours forever. Take your notes in the moment, however it's easiest for you. To this day, I carry a pocket memo pad. It serves as a place to keep my driver's license, a few credit cards, proof of insurance, medical card, and a few business cards. And I have a memo pad inside on which I can write at any time. Again, a napkin is fine if that's all you've got. The notes you took become a draft that will go into the trash can by the end of the day. Throw those notes in your inbox. That's your trigger. Later in the day, those notes in your inbox serve as that trigger to pull them and put them into your system. Then the paper notes go in the trash can. This is where you'll create a note for that person if you don't already have one. And if you do already have one for that person, you'll simply add to it. The person's name will be the title of the note. Toward the top of the note, include other information that is permanent, such as the name of the friend's spouse and the children's names. You'll likely put your friend's phone number and email address in your contacts if it's not already there. And if the system allows, copy the link to that contact record and paste it into your note. Next, enter into the note the date of the conversation and any details, and you're done for now. If that lunch was with a new acquaintance, in addition to everything else, you might go to LinkedIn to grab some other information, paste that into the person's note, copy and paste a headshot into the note, copy and paste a link to that LinkedIn bio if you like. 3 months later, your phone rings and it's your friend. Go to whatever tool you were using to keep up with that person in your life. Now you see all the details. You can ask about how his wife is doing and mention her by name. You can ask about the children by name as well. You'll see notes from your last conversation together with the date that you took them. Now you'll just add today's date and start taking notes. If your keyboarding skills are good, it's fine to add to the note right there on the screen while you're talking to your friend on the phone. If you prefer pen and paper, that's fine too. After the conversation, that paper goes into your inbox. It becomes your reminder to enter the draft into your system. A little trick I use after having taken notes on paper is to read them into the system. On my phone, I would access my friend's note and tap on the spot where I want the new information to go. Hit the microphone key on the keyboard and begin speaking. The phone turns the speech into text. My preference is to add these additional conversations bottom up. That way, the most recent conversation is at the top. If your friend sent you a handwritten note and you wanted to save it, how and where would you do it? Likewise, if you sent your friend a handwritten note, what sort of record would you have? I have a video for you that details exactly how I handle that sort of information. Come over to the video entitled Evernote, How to Keep Up with Those Important Interactions. I'm going to put the link to that in the body of the blog post here. You'll hear me refer to my notebook as journal, and it includes both notes for the many people in my life for whom I have created a note, as well as notes for random things that happen, the sort of things that you would put maybe in a paper journal. When you reach my age, quite a few people in your life are no longer with us. Teachers from my high school and college days, church members from my congregation, from my generation on up, friends who are gone too soon. Well, that obituary that appears is probably the best short bio of that person's life that you're going to find. So I copy and paste it into their note. It becomes the most recent entry. And when I send a sympathy card to the family, I open that note on my phone, tap where I want the photo to go, and take a picture of the card I'm sending. That photo of that card becomes part of the permanent record. This technique is something that you can start today, although it won't make a big difference today or tomorrow or maybe even next week. But if you keep doing it, it will make a huge difference for you down the road. You'll amaze yourself with the information you have about the people in your life. You'll be able to recount memories in many wonderful ways. And when people talk about what a wonderful memory you have, share with them the process that you are using so that they can do the same. So here's your action item for today. Go into your digital note-taking tool of choice and create your own people notebook or folder. What were the conversations of significance that you had with other people today? There's your start. Thanks for stopping by. And if you liked this content, there's plenty more that's just as nuts and bolts. This has been Frank Buck, helping you get organized and make it look easy.